Hi, my name is Victor. I'm part of Group 10, and we are doing our presentation over the traditional Indian dance, Bharatanatyam. So, as for the music in and of itself, the recitation and chanting is in the Carnatic style of South India, and for Carnatic style music, the main focus is on vocal music, and so most compositions are written and are meant to be sung, and even if they are played on instruments, they are intended to be played in a singing-like style called Gayaki. And one key component of the Carnatic style is improvisation, and improvisation is said to be the soul of Indian classical music. Now, the Natu Vanar, the vocalist, is typically also the conductor of the whole performance. They may also be the guru or the teacher of the dancer, and they might also be playing cymbals or another musical instrument in addition to singing. And as far as the languages in which the music is sung in, the recited verses and texts are in Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Sanskrit. And so, as far as some of the instruments that can be used in the performance, there's the Mridangam, which is this double-sided drum, the Nadaswaram, this long oboe made of black wood, the Natu Vangam, which are these cymbals with strings at the end to hold them, and flute, violin, and veena, this chordophone string instrument, very large string instrument.
Okay. Hi, I'm Annette, and I'm going to be talking about specific dance examples in Bharatanatyam. So first off, Bharatanatyam is just an umbrella term that encompasses 7 specific dances. And the 7 dances are Alaripu, Jatiswaram, Shabdam, Varnam, Padam, Tilana, and Mangalam. And the entire set of 7 dances is called the Margam. And typically a Bharatanatyam student would learn these dances under a guru or a teacher, and the order that I stated these dances are the chronological order that a student would typically learn the dances. And also, as you complete the dances chronologically, they increase in difficulty and length. And so going deeper into the specific 7, first, the Alaripu is a pure dance that invokes the blessings of gods and goddesses. Second, the Jatiswaram is a preliminary technical performance, also known as a nritta. The Shabdam is a dance expressed in words with a variety of expressions. The Varnam is the longest dance, which can last up to 30 to 40 minutes. It's highly complicated and has a variety of expressions. The Padam shows simplicity in expression and is more of a devotional prayer. The Tilana is the climax of the 7 dances, and it's intense and highly rhythmic. And finally, the Mangalam is the final dance, and it calls upon the blessings of the people and of the audience.
Hello, my name is Elias Ramos. I'm going to be talking about the cultural context of Bharatanatyam. It has many cultural attributes. It fosters a traditional woman-centric view. It formulates a collective Indian identity, and it greatly contributes on India's religious sphere. One of the key points that I mentioned was it has a nationalistic element. In 1910, the British colonial government that was ruling India at the time, they essentially, they prohibited Hindu temple dances. And so this led to like a massive protest on free speech and stuff like that. And in the end, when British colonial empire was out of India, the Hindu temple dances started making a comeback. And so that's when the post-colonial revival of Bharatanatyam emerged. The socioeconomic status of people who are usually engaged with Bharatanatyam are typically like the Tamil middle class and Devadasis. The Devadasis, I don't know really how to explain it well, but it's like an individual That's within a group of women that dedicated their entire lives to worshiping a patron god, within the temple. Another key cultural attribute is it promises respectability and traditional femininity. If you're a really good dancer, and you know the complex text moves, the techniques very well, then a lot of people are actually going to respect you a lot more. And also the last, and I think the most important one, is it has, a lot of people thought Barantium was like a very devotional tool. You used to have a deeper understanding of like the religious element to it.
Hi, I'm Kaylor Doucette, and I did the gender roles on the Bharatanatyam dance. So, first off, for lack of a better term, I would say that the Bharatanatyam is a fairly progressive dance because while there were each gender had their role in it, it wasn't based off social status or it wasn't discriminatory in a way that a lot of other dances are. So, conventionally, it's a solo dance most of the time that's performed mainly by women. There are occasionally male roles, but most of the time it's female dominated. So when the men do perform, it's typically more of a minor role, and sometimes there's, in the absence of a male, a woman will even cross-dress as a male because each of them has to fill the role of their gender. Each of them has their unique role. And the reason that women do it are more predominantly in it is because that it requires a higher degree of grace, and typically the females have a higher degree of grace. That's just how they're associated with. So it wasn't because they were more lowly or they were higher, but it was because they had more of what the dance required than men typically did. And if you cut to modern day, just a little fun fact, a lot of men are trying to sort of chip away at that stereotype and are trying to make it more fit for men to fill the female roles and make it so each role doesn't require a specific gender. And here's the dance itself.
So I'm Jessica, and I did the world prevalence of Bharatanatyam, and it's considered one of the most widely used dances in India, and it's over 2,000 years old. So there's many paintings and carvings throughout India that just really show how important it is to the culture, and it's also widely accepted across India, and its popularity expanded really quickly throughout the 19th century until the 20th century, when there was actually a ban passed by British colonial rule. At that time, it declined until recent times when it's becoming more popular across the world. And world adoption of it has been slower until recently. There's been a demand in the United States for Bharatanatyam.
Hi, I'm Hilton Lewis, and I'm going to talk about the history of the dance. So the style comes from the 2nd century dance Natashrastra. It's where a soloist presents a narrative by herself and dances to represent like all the different characters. Then, if you go forward to the 10th century, it was mainly performed in the Tamil Nadu. However, similar dances like subgenres and things like that were performed in all parts of India during this period. It was like at its peak and it was most popular time the 10th and 11th century, where in the Hindu temples, usually in southern India, had plenty of deva dasis, or like traditional female dancers who were devoted to the work itself. They danced in the courts of the Hindu temples, but in the early 19th century, there was these four brothers known as the Tanjavur Quartet, and they shaped the dance into more of a drama and focused on the solo form of the dance. And then later in the 1920s, the British colonial period, they abolished and prohibited this form of dance until finally in the 1930s, Rukmini Devi revived the dance and gave its present name Bharatanatyam. And then Bhava means emotion, Ra means music or melody, Ta means rhythm, and Natyam means dance, and that's where we get the name. And then here's our member contribution. Victor did the music slide, Jessica talked about the prevalence of the world, Kylo did the gender rules, I did the history, Annette did the specific dance examples, and Elias did the cultural context. And then here's our works cited.